Right, good afternoon. Today we're going to be taking a short flight from Pittsburgh to University Airport. I chose this route just because I've never flown it. I'm unfamiliar with the area, and I wanted to see if I could pick out references in X-Plane. All right, so before we begin, here's our route that we'll be following. All right, we'll be departing runway 10, making a left turn, then another sharp right turn, and we'll see how the G1000 deals with that. And then we're going to fly a relatively mild path over some prominent waypoints until we wind up at University Airport. All right, so let's go ahead and start. We'll go ahead and program our flight plan in here so it knows we're already in Pittsburgh. So let's add our next waypoint.
3 hours later.
All right, and as we can see, our flight plan is starting to populate on the PFD, or the MFD. We can also see, if we zoom out, that our flight path is also correct. We'll take off and we'll begin our flight. Go ahead and take off. We'll go ahead and start our turn to intercept, and we'll follow along with Flight. All right, now we'll go ahead and turn it over to the autopilot, the autopilot automatically popped up the flight director, and we'll have it set to GPS with our next waypoint being. We'll go ahead and set our altitude to 3,000 feet. All right, we just got a chime. We're within 1,000 feet of our desired altitude. If we look at our flight plan, we can now see that we're approximately 15 miles away from our next VFR waypoint. We're now 3 miles from our next waypoint, which is 9 Golf 1, and we can see it on our moving map display. We can also see that the terrain looks pretty similar, so we know that we're in the right spot. All right, we're now approaching the 1 mile mark from our next waypoint, so let's see if the G1000 and the coupled autopilot can keep us en route. The curve on the moving map suggests that it will. All right, and we see now our G1000 has told us a left turn to 343 will be starting in 4 seconds. Now, so it's nice to have that little reminder, and if we maintain a standard rate turn, then we should fly right past our airport. All right, and we can see that the G1000 has automatically activated the next waypoint, which is 29 Delta. So let's head over there. All right, we've received another alert. This time we were approaching our altitude ceiling. That was sloppy flying on my part. We're passing over the lakes on the left, just like match on the map, so we can see that it's pretty close as far as what to expect if you don't know where you are. We can see we need to apply a little bit of wind correction. We've got a right quartering headwind of about 8 knots and a crosswind of about 8 knots. As we come up to our next turn, we're going to notice the same thing. As we approach our next turn by 29 Delta, the G1000 will let us know that we have X seconds again to meet our turn. Nope. All right, we see now we need to turn our course right to 090 in about 4 seconds. So it'll count down, gives us the now indication, and if we start our turn on time, we should be able to intercept our next leg. We could even see the tiny little lake next to the east designation on our moving map on the MFD. So it even picks up small landmarks, but anything that seems to be reasonably recognizable. Alright, we can see again that the G1000 has automatically advanced to the next waypoint, which is Kilo Alpha X-Ray Quebec. How'd you like that for your home airport? Alright, as we can see, we've run into some pretty severe turbulence right now. So we're having a little bit of trouble maintaining our altitude. I think we hit a thermal, shot us up about 1,000 feet. As we expected, there was some rain. Let's hope we don't have to divert somewhere. Alright, we're getting ready to pass over this river that we can see just above the G1000's PFD on the left, so we know we're heading in the right spot. Just under a mile away from Kilo Alpha X-Ray Quebec, and we'll see again our G1000 will let us know that the next heading will be 106 in about 5 seconds. And we can see, since it wasn't a 90-degree turn, it's just letting us know to alter our track instead of make an actual turn. Alright, we noticed that in again, just over a mile, we'll reach our next waypoint, and then we see our list of what's left to go. And this time we'll pay attention to the swap and the flight plan as well and see how that matches up. Alright, we see we have another track change in 4 seconds, this time to 119. Alright, so we're now on the MFD passing over the waypoint, and we can see that they both switched to Kilo Fox India Golf at the same time, which is our next waypoint. Let's head there now. Alright, we're encountering some rain. What I'm not seeing is any rain on our moving map. So let's see if maybe we have to adjust our zoom. Nope. So no weather. Oh, there was some weather. Alright, it looks like there's just a problem with you. Oh, there it is. Alright, so we've got some weather now that we'll be flying through. So let's make the smart call and let us go ahead and divert. And we're going to go ahead and add a waypoint in here to fly us around that storm. That we have an issue here. Alright, so what we're going to do is we're going to add another waypoint right here that will route us around. Alright, and we can see now we have adjusted course. Alright, so we'll catch up to our GPS line on the HSI. We'll get a good intercept angle. And as you can see, we have added another airport right here in real time to try and get ahead of this rain cell. Whether we actually beat it or not, we'll see here in a minute. Okay, so we're about 2.5 miles from our waypoint. Let's zoom in here and see if this will stay. And we managed to circumnavigate this rainstorm according to the moving map, but not according to the actual fact that it's raining. So one of the things we need to keep in mind, this is not real-time weather. Right, it's not radar, so we're not able to do this with 100% certainty. So I wouldn't do this in a thunderstorm, or actually I wouldn't even really do this in real life. So you'd probably want to aim, 10 to 15 miles, depending on the wind speed and direction, away from the area you're trying to avoid. All right, I blew through my course. So we're going to go ahead and correct here. Again, we'll look at the HSI. And it will let us re-intercept our course. Although at this point, we probably could have just changed our next waypoint. Alright, we can see now we've re-intercepted our course, and we're approximately 2 miles from our next waypoint. Alright, as we approach the 1 mile mark, we should go ahead and start looking out for our next instruction, and this time we see it's a right turn in 10 seconds to 133. So we can see that as the departure angle varies from your waypoint, it's smart enough to let you know exactly when to turn and to let you know if it's a turn or just a track or direction change. Alright, we can see again once we passed over our waypoint, both the MFD and PFD showed our flight plan change. And we can see now we are only about 28 miles from our destination, and we only have one waypoint left. Alright, as we again noticed, the G1000 alerted us that we had busted our altitude. Once again, we ran into some rain that wasn't shown on the MFD, and while this is only a simulation, this is about the accuracy that you can reliably expect from the in-flight weather, as far as knowing when something is going to happen or using it to avoid it. Remember, it's not a radar, even though it's called NEXRAD. It's just, forget about it. Alright, we came close to busting our altitude again, and it looks like we're barely going to be able to sneak past this storm here and make it to our destination. Now, at this point, we could, if needed to, divert and go ahead and land here. So we should be able to see an airport directly off our nose. However, this isn't the airport we're aiming for. The weather still looks reasonably good. It's just a little rain, and pilots aren't made out of sugar. So we'll just head on a little further. We should get another direction change here. As you can see, the intervals are speed dependent, so the slower we're going and the smaller the direction change, the less distance there's going to be at the nodus, so it is a dynamic thing. We can see that our waypoint changed again as we flew over the intersection. And let's take a look. We should be within 10 miles of our airport, which should be directly in front of us if we can follow our GPS. Alright, we've busted our altitude again. It's alright. So we can see we're about 5 miles out. We're at 3,000 feet. Now we'll go ahead and pull up the airport on Flight. Alright, and it looks like we have the airport in sight, just within our 5-mile ring. Alright, so we'll go ahead and land, and hopefully our flight will be done. We can see our white and green arcs wonderfully as we approach. We can see now from our weather that we have flown into a miraculous thunderstorm. So let's get this bird on the ground. Alright, we've safely made it to our destination. Alright, and that concludes our G1000 flight.